Good afternoon, Sugar Valley Church. It's Brother Terry. I hope you're having a good day so far as we continue to bring you a series of devotional words for this day. We come today, and I want to read a verse of Scripture that most of you probably have memorized. Romans 8 and verse 28 says, "For we know that all things work together for good to them who love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose." If you've heard me preach more than once, you've probably heard me mention the name Flannery O'Connor. I quote her all the time. Flannery O'Connor, Mary Flannery O'Connor, was born in Savannah, Georgia, but she lived out most of her short life in Milledgeville, Georgia, at a place called Andalusia. It's a farm that she bought where her and her mother lived. She died of lupus at only 39 years old. I'm such a Flannery O'Connor nerd, I made my family go with me on vacation to Milledgeville one time just to visit her farm. I love Flannery O'Connor because I believe in her fiction. She's able to write the work of grace underneath the storyline in such a way that it grabs the attention of people who normally wouldn't pay any attention to grace at all. But probably my favorite writing by Flannery O'Connor is actually a prayer journal, a private prayer journal that she kept while she was in college in Iowa studying writing. The journal was published long after her death, but it tells about her personal relationship with the Lord. One of the things she says in that journal in one entry is this: "Lord, help me to get down under things and find where you are." I love that statement. Lord, help me to get down under things and find where you are. In everything that's going on in our world, God is involved. The challenge for us sometimes is to get down under that and find out where He is involved. How do we look at a situation like we're facing in the world today with COVID-19 and find where God is involved? Some might ask, how could God ever take something so horrific, so tragic, and weave it in to eventually be good and bring Him glory? Romans 8:28 doesn't promise that all things are good. It promises that God causes all things to work together eventually for His glory and for our good, those who are His people, who are called and who love Him. What could possibly be good about God's work through COVID-19 in our world? Well, I don't know, because I'm not God and I don't know everything He's trying to do, but I have a couple of suggestions. One of them is perhaps God is working this so that eventually, to good, we will be grateful. I know this: when we finally get to go back to church again, we're going to be so grateful for the privilege of church attendance. I've talked to so many people who say, man, I miss being with my church family. And if when on the other side of this we finally get to be back together, we are grateful and we don't take for granted church assembly and church attendance, then that will have been a good thing that God accomplished through this. Maybe another good, and again, I don't know. I can't say what all God is doing because I'm not God. But maybe one of the good things He's doing is He's causing people who are lost to think about their own mortality. As we see people dying through this terrible virus, it's caused all of us to think about our own mortality. We're not invincible. And it could be that some of us will be sickened by this, and we may be touched by the death that has been caused by this virus. But if through this God causes a person to say, Lord, I've ignored you most of my life, but I realize my life is not forever. And Lord, I need grace and I need repentance. I need to think about eternity. If that happens, if one person repents and thinks about the gospel because they've been forced to think about their own mortality, then that is a good that God will accomplish through this. My prayer is that each of us individually will say, Lord, what is it you want to do with this in combination with everything else you're doing in my life to bring about my good and your glory? I don't know what it looks like. It may be a family that's closer because they were forced to spend more time together. It may be a marriage that had to deal with issues because they were forced to be together and spend time together. It may be a church that realizes, Lord, there were things we prioritized that weren't important, but now we need to prioritize what's important for your glory. Whatever it is God does, we want to say individually, Lord, start with me, start with my family, start with my community, and then throughout the whole world, Lord, we confess that all things work together for good to them who love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose.